Welcome back to the Fut-Afrique show. Now I have the trivia question for you. Today's trivia question, I want to know which female player won back-to-back Goalkeeper of the Year CAF awards. Brian Mofokeng joins me on the show today. I know you know the answer to that one. Was it easy?
Okay. Quite easy, my guy. You know, I can tell, you're still in a celebratory mood, eh?
Yeah, look, I want to ask a trivia question for words that you don't know. Like, it's so difficult for you.
I'm saying it was a good year for Nigeria, all I'm going to say.
Okay, I could sense the sarcasm.
Even questions are going there, so...
I could sense the sarcasm in that. But let's talk about the year 2024 for you, the highlights for you. First of all, what stood out to you the most about this year in African football?
It's a lot of stuff, eh? But the first one, I've got to say... The first one has
Let's
to be...
start from January.
The first one is going to be how Cote d'Ivoire came back from the dead to be alive and lift the trophy, literally.
Yeah, we all thought they were dead.
Because on stage, we all thought they were out.
Yes.
And I still remember Jean-Louis Gasset already packed his bag, was gone.
He was gone.
And then Amos Faye was the coach. Amos Faye was the coach of the under-23, was brought in assistant coach.
Yes.
He was therefore told, hey, my guy, hey, we are still in it, come back.
Yes.
I think the good news for him in particular is that he had a heartbreak at the Afcon previously, having lost it, and now he's found himself sitting there on a bench, and the turning point is unbelievable.
I remember the top superstars had already boarded their private jets going back to their respective clubs.
But there was a time, there's a man called Haller. He went and hollered. And all we say is that Nigeria just looked at him and said, where did this guy come from? Kessie also came to the party. It was beautiful to see some of the older players or the experienced players coming to the fore.
You reminded me of that final. I remember, let me tell you a quick funny story about that final. Because I was shooting a live show with Fut-Afrique, and I had, I was talking to one of my friends, Christophe Bongo, about the match between Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria. And I was predicting Nigeria was going to win this game. Now, live on the show, we had to watch Sebastian Haller score that heartbreaker of a goal, and I needed to close the show. I couldn't find the words. I was simply stuck live on air.
Wow.
It was a dagger in the hearts of millions of Nigeria. From Lagos to Kaduna, everybody was just down.
The guys in Abuja survived it.
It was a national time of mourning, really. But a great tournament, really.
It was a great tournament because if you look at the stars that came, the stars that shone in the tournament, I mean, Morocco came there as a team that had been to the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Yes.
You would expect them just to be literally,
and
take everybody out.
And
then it was Bafana who took them out in the last 16. Celebration, plenty it was indeed. I mean, that's one. And you talk about, you mentioned Magesi at the top.
Woo!
What a story that was for Magesi in South African football. A team that nobody knew much about, and they came and put not only Pirates, but Sundowns to the sword to win the trophy in South Africa. So not a great year it was.
One of the biggest upsets, though, in South African football history. Am I being dramatic?
No, it is.
I think that was...
Okay, now people will tell you about the Nedbank Cup in 2019 where Chiefs lost against the team who were playing in the first division, TS Galaxy then. But if you're talking about a team who just got promoted, playing in the Premier Division, having not played any team they're playing against and eventually winning a tournament, unheard of. Totally unheard of. So it was a great story indeed. I mean, Clinton Larson, we all know what happened there. And then you talk about a Orlando Pirates team. Nobody gave Jose Riviera a chance to win a third MTNA title in a row. Nobody has done it before. Won it the first time in 2021, 2022, 2023. Then 2024, everybody thought, maybe you might not be able to do it. But luck was needed.
Yes.
And there's a guy they call the president of the 2000. Or they call him Cocomelon. Those depending on who they call him.
Oh my gosh.
Fukian was something else on the day. I mean, it was him and Mabasa who eventually saved the day for Pirates. We were goal down. They won it. That for me was another big talking point.
I thought it was a nephew of yours, Mr. Mofokeng. I mean, same surname, but hey, you say you guys are not related. But exceptional player. We're going to talk about the CAF Champions League later on in the show, because I needed to ask you about that player and the fact that they're playing him at the number 10 role. I think it's more lethal on the wings, but we'll talk more about that.
There's been a few changes that have been done, I mean, from a team point of view. I mean, if you look at him, when they had to move him more central, it was when Maswanganyi was not playing. Yes. They had to bring him more central, and then Mohankota coming on the right-hand side. When Saleh came back in a game against Al Ahly, they had to switch things around as well for Pirates.
He's more effective on the wings.
On the wing, he's unbelievable. I tell you, I mean, I agree with you. On the wings, he's an unbelievable player. I think 2023, 2024 gave us another star in South African football that you can look at and say, this one for the future. But the man that's shown the most, who has been head above everybody else.
Let's hear this. Let's hear what is about this. Yes.
Has been something phenomenal. I mean, if you want to celebrate and talk about a player who has risen to the highest echelons,
he's
it has
32
to be
years old now.
Yeah.
Is it too late for him to play at the top level? Could we see a run with Williams like between the sticks for
Can you
Real
match
Madrid?
Sundowns money? That's the question I'm going to ask you first. Because if you're not get him, you need to be able to match Sundowns money, to be able to relocate him with his family and get him to start acclimatizing to new situation. He's been well looked after. One. Number two, I mean, I stood next to him. He's a very tall lad. So
really?
he does fit the world criteria when you talk about players, because he's tall, he's commanding, he really controls everything.
I
don't think so. 32 players. I mean, goalkeepers go to around 40. So where he can move now to go somewhere else, who wants him and who's willing to pay the money for him? I believe, if somebody wants him, they should be able to get him. He's a good player. I mean, for me, with him in goals, I always say, with him in goals, you already have a point when you start the game.
All right.
It's just a matter of getting the other two.
Unbelievable stuff. Well, after the break, we're going to be talking about the CAF Champions League. We're going to be talking about some moments from African football that you don't want to remember. You'd rather hide behind your couches when we're talking about them. Man, we have a list of them. And Brian is going to troll me when I start talking about these. Don't miss it. Stay tuned.